Canada says it's seriously concerned by reports that its ambassador is being expelled by Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has accused Canada of interfering in its affairs after the government called for human rights activists in detention to be released. The Saudis have also said they will freeze all new trade with Canada because of the row. Well, let's get more on this issue and speak to Issam Irkamawi from BBC Arabic. Issam, is this being seen as a bit of an overreaction from the Saudis?
It's very much so. I mean, it happened during the summer. Both ambassadors, the Saudis and Canadians, happen to be away from their posts. So reports from Riyadh suggest that people have been taken by surprise by this response by the Saudi government. However, it's not totally surprising. There have been a couple of precedents in this year, once with Germany and before that with Sweden. The ambassadors were summoned, although it wasn't as harsh or as direct as this time. However, the Saudis probably want to show that they should be taken more seriously and should be respected in that regard.
And perhaps it also goes back to the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, and I suppose he's still coming into his own in this newly found role. He's incredibly powerful in the kingdom, and yet he finds taking criticism quite, challenging.
Yes, he's embarked on this program of reform. He started with allowing women to drive. I think from June, women are able to drive in Saudi Arabia, which is considered a big change in Saudi society. It's an ultra-conservative society. So he's leading this reform, but at the same time, he's still sensitive to criticism by the outside world. I think the Saudis prefer the outside world to look at them as modernizers, as people who are trying to reform their system rather than criticizing them over certain aspect of their social and political life.
And as you say, while women have finally been allowed to drive, they still face guardianship laws, for example, which several women have been arrested for protesting, including one human rights activist, Samar Badawi. So that really, this criticism from the Canadians comes off the back of that.
Yes, I mean, she's been mentioned by the report by Human Rights Watch. She's a known activist. She's been speaking out against male guardianship. Although the Saudis have reformed their system, allowed women to drive, but there are still restrictions on women driving. They still have to seek the permission of their their guardian. Could be a father, a brother, or even a son sometimes. So there is still criticism that restrictions on women in particular have not been lifted completely, and there are still enough restrictions that limiting women from performing their whatever duty they want in society.
What message do you think MBS is trying to send by doing this?
That Saudi Arabia is a regional power. It's a big country that should be treated as an equal, that no longer is going to turn the other cheek and accept criticism by other foreign governments, that no one is allowed to interfere. This is the statement by the Saudi Foreign Ministry, that no one is allowed to interfere in domestic issues. That kind of message is what the Saudis are aiming to send out to the outside world.
And what reaction, or has there been any kind of reaction from, say, Washington or other international partners?
The only reaction we have so far is from the Kingdom of Bahrain, who issued a statement saying that they support Saudi Arabia, and Canada and other countries should mind their own business and not interfere in other countries' affairs. I think the Saudis were upset because the Canadian statement said something about we demand the immediate release of these detained people. I think the Saudis did not take that very kindly and thought that it was quite harsh, hence the harsh response by the Saudis.
Issam, we'll have to leave it there. Thanks very much for that analysis.